In 1959, in one of his last acts as a two-term president, Dwight Eisenhower ordered the racial integration of a school in Little Rock, Arkansas. The governor of Arkansas, Orville Faubus, resisted that order and declared that there would be no forced integration, not in his state. America was suddenly and unexpectedly focused on Little Rock, Arkansas. Eisenhower met with Faubus, called out the National Guard, and a dozen black children were escorted into the school and placed in classrooms. In 1959, Miles Davis recorded the album Kind of Blue. He was assisted by John Coltrane and Cannonball Adderley and others. Davis put something in his horn, a bell mute I think it's called, which gave it a distinctive sound to go with his measured way of playing. Davis recorded other fine work, including Birth of the Cool and Sketches of Spain, but this would be the best-selling jazz album of all time, exceeding 5 million copies, and it firmly established Davis as a musical icon. In 1959, the furious Charles Mingus recorded 4 albums. As a bass player and a composer and a black man, he had a lot to say. On one of the albums, entitled Mingus there was a track called Fables of Faubus. There were supposed to be lyrics, but the record company eliminated them. Even without the lyrics, the thoughts of Charles Mingus came across loud and clear. In 1959, Ornette Coleman was about to release his 3rd album. Like Davis and Mingus, he was working on a problem, which was how to advance the form of jazz beyond bebop and the considerable influence and shadow of Charlie Parker, known as Bird. Coleman decided to jettison the structure, the time frame, harmony, and play whatever he wanted, pure improvisation. His sound was instantly recognizable by its squeaky scattershot pattern and the timbre, which may have been the result of his instrument, a white plastic saxophone, the only one he could afford. With a group of 4, including trumpet, bass, and drums, he came to New York and played at the 5 spot, creating a sensation. There were those who declared him a genius, there were those who declared him a fake. He played on and named that album The Shape of Jazz to Come, a young man's brash challenge to the world. He is standing on the cover of that album, looking rather mild, not at all revolutionary, wearing a sweater, embracing his white plastic saxophone. The music now seems, to me, to be full of sweetness and discord. It's familiar, melodic, bluesy, inventive, extremely well rehearsed, and deeply felt. So, if you were listening, there were black voices ringing out in 1959. In 1959, there were no black children in my classroom. No Mexicans or Asians either. There was one kid whose parents had come from somewhere in Scandinavia, clearly represented by his name, Lars. We made fun of him for that, and we continued to mock him until his father, furious, came to school and shamed us into stopping. So I was playing my part for racism, if you want to call it that. Rather than tag it like that, I would say it is the overwhelming, almost instinctual urge to create an inferiority in someone, so that we might feel a little bit better about ourselves. It's degrading, it's pathetic, but there it is. We do it. There is footage from Little Rock in 1959 of well-coached white school children chanting 2, 4, 6, 8. We don't want to integrate. Coleman's music was called free jazz. He didn't like that term, but we can understand how, in 1959, he would want to express himself in a way that was as free and unshackled as possible. His original title for that 3rd album was Focus on Sanity. The Shape of Jazz to Come might well have also been called I Have a Dream, because I think you could say that it is the musical equivalent of a dream, of freedom.